Well, two draws. Looks better than that pitch on Tuesday. So, I am going to keep the intro short this week because we've got quite a bit to cover. But I'm sorry for this new view. I'm filming this pretty late at night, and this weird little HVAC covering I got going over there looks like a perfect place to put the logo. But thank you for tuning in this week for the Grimsby America show, where obviously we talk all things Grimsby Town. And I always like to start off every video with a question. And I like to start off this just to get people commenting. That way I can read what you actually think. These are legitimate questions. These aren't just BS, just for talk questions. So, my question this week is of our loan in players, and financials are a big consideration here, okay? If you're calling the shots, finance is considered into this. Of our four loan in guys, who would you bring back at what cost? And well, there could be multiple ones if you think we can budget it. But realistic budgets continue considered, which of our four loan in guys would you bring back and why? What's your reasoning behind it? So that is the question for today's video. And with that said, again, it's going to be a decently long one. I'll try my best to get through it in as little as I can. I try to make all these in under 15 minutes. So I'll shut up. Let's get into today's video. Sorry, quick side note that I forgot to put in that video is I'm getting a lot of questions on how and why I became a Grimsby supporter. And I will tell you my story. I promise it's coming. It's so weird for me to talk about myself. But that's coming, I promise. So, in our first section today, we are going to be talking about the women. Now, the women did play this past weekend, and unfortunately, they came up just short with a 2-1 loss. But I will say this, they have an absolute baller on the team. She goes by Beth, and she got her probably 857th goal of the season this past weekend. So she's absolutely just keeps banging them in. And shout out to the women. I wish I knew how to actually watch their games. If there's a way for me to watch them here in the States, please comment and let me know. I'd love to check them out. We now go into the next section, which I have just dubbed the Loaned Out Lads. So there's not a whole lot here to cover either. Maybe one day we'll be up the leagues and this section will be a little bit more larger. But Rekiel obviously did not play. Grayson did not play, which, by the way, I've still not figured out what a work loan is. I don't know if that has to do more with behind the scenes stuff he's doing or if it's more like an internship. I don't know. But all I know is he's not making the team or playing. But someone to actually put some energy into this section, which is Maddie Carson, who is just flat out lighting it up in Wales. And matter of fact, this past week, well, the first episode that I did, he was up for man of the match. Last week, he I think played 60 something minutes. He wasn't up for the man of the match award, but playing 60 something minutes after playing a full 90 and having a good game, that's probably planned if I had to guess. But this past weekend, I think he went the distance. Maybe he got subbed out at the end. I would have to double check on that. But either way, he had a goal and an assist. So, needless to say, he's still on fire and playing quite well over in Wales. And best of luck to him in his continued loan. And I hope he keeps doing it because I think he's going to be a good player for us in the future. All right, so let's get into some game thoughts. And I've got two games to cover on this. I'll try to go through it decently quick because, like I said, I don't really like these videos going over 15 minutes because you're already giving me enough of your time why waste more of it? So Saturday's game, I did get to watch the full match. Tuesday's game, I did not. And if you follow me on X, again, which you should, a lot of you guys are keeping me up to date on it because I was at work. I did get to watch, maybe I took a late lunch between 1 and 2. I'll go work out, and I got to watch maybe the first 15 minutes of it. And after that, it was just kind of hit and miss what I got to watch. So I can't properly break down a lot of things other than what I actually watched. But I'm going to touch really quickly on Saturday's game because at this point, I mean, we're already focused on next game, and this seems like a bygone game. But I predicted a 2-2 draw, and we got a 1-1 draw. I think this game could have easily been a loss. It could have easily been a win. I think we got lucky a few times. I think we got unfortunate a few times. It could have easily just went. Whoops. Could have easily just went either direction. But I'm not gonna lie. 2 losses this past few days. It's slightly disheartening, and it kind of feels like a loss in a way. But at the end of the day, we're still in our form. We still have we still haven't been beaten since, the dawn of the dinosaurs. But yeah, it just feels slightly underwhelming. I can't really describe it. Maybe we've just been spoiled that much with the form. Maybe it's because of what we're fighting for, but it just seems like we could have gotten more out of this. And to be fair, the Robins have been in heck of good form. I mean, not that we haven't been, but they've been in very good form. So I think realistically, that draw on Saturday was a good result, honestly, especially being an away team. So I'll say this couple of notes on the game. First of all, that 23rd minute save by Wright. I mean, that was so good. That was so good. And about that, I'm going to update on a couple of future videos. I'm going to save that till the very end. So make sure you stay tuned on some 4 more videos that you might be interested in that doesn't involve doing these weekly shows about Grimsby. So yeah, that was a great save. There was, I think, 2 moments that I didn't see anybody on X talking about that I wanted to go over. There was a 43rd minute pass by McJanet that went up the sideline and went around pretty much the entire midfield. The unfortunate part about the pass was nobody was there on the receiving end. But I know that sounds kind of weird, but if someone had been there to receive the pass, we would still be talking about just the technique and the just vision that he had to get the ball up away from everybody. It was such a good pass, and as a goalkeeper as someone who played goalkeeper for 20 years, seeing your defender make a pass like that is just, it builds trust knowing that your defender can get it out quickly like that. But I just wanted to shout him out for that pass. It was very, very good, and it was awesome to see. And the last thing I want to talk about this game is something I feel like we got very lucky on, which was right before halftime. Um, I don't know who had the ball for them, but someone was charging up the field right before the whistle blew. And although you couldn't see it on the TV that well, there were a few players charging, and they had our defense beat. If the defender had passed the ball, I can't help but wonder if the ref would not have blown the whistle or if we would have allowed play to continue for a few more minutes. And the Cheltenham player would have had the goalkeeper one-on-one. And at that point, it was anything goes. So I do think we got very lucky with that. But you know what? Lucky or unlucky, it doesn't matter. We still got a draw. But I did want to point that out, that we almost got caught with our pants down right there. Now, like I said, I did not get to properly watch the Tuesday game, but I did want to make these 2 notes, or 3 notes, I guess, which was that 9th minute Lucre pass. Whew, that was bad, wasn't it? That was very bad. Sometimes I have to remember some of these guys are very, very young and very raw, and that showed it right there, which eventually led to the goal that we gave up. The other thing is Danny Green. My goodness, this man just keeps coming through. And I saw somewhere he has worked his way up to, I believe, seventh in League Two goal scoring. And don't get me wrong, I'm not devaluing Denver, Denver Hume or anyone else on the team, but what Danny Rose brings to the table and plays for the badge, and he represents everything that this club means, in my opinion. When I think of Grimsby, I think of a player like Danny Rose. And I just really, really hope his form continues and we're able to reward him at the end of the year with a playoff run. And the last thing I did want to point out was not necessarily about the play itself, but goodness, the pitch looked terrible from my view on Tuesday. I hope that's something that the owners are looking into this off season because ooh, you ever invite someone over and your neighbor's yard looked terrible or something like that? I got that same feeling watching the game this weekend, and with the way the pitch looked, the lack of crowd there, it just was sort of a sore sight on Tuesday, and I hated to see that because I'd give anything to be there Tuesday. But that said, let me go ahead and end this particular section, and we'll get on to this Saturday's game. So this Saturday we are taking on Walsall, and for a while this year it looked like they were just going to flat out just run away with it and maybe even have it locked up by this point. And obviously they have hit a bad run of games. And in fact, I wanted to go over some of this with you guys. They've been all over the place in the last 10 games, and I'm sorry for looking down, but I am going to actually read something. So in their last 10 games, they've had 4 losses, 4 draws, and 2 W's. And one of those W's was a result of a 50th minute red card. I believe that was in the Morecambe game. And during that 10-game stretch, they have a -3 goal differential. They've scored 12 goals and given up 15 goals in these 10 games. They've been shut out 3 times and they've had 1 clean sheet. So what that tells me is we're going to have to score. I hate to say this is another game that I think a draw would be fine, but I think we and look, we're going to have to win tough games, especially if we're going to do something in the playoffs or make the playoffs. I think this is a game that we have to hit them while they're down, and they're currently down. And although yes, they're scoring still, they're also giving up a lot. And I think that we need to take advantage of that. Justin Obeku looks like he's back. I know he had a short game last time, but Danny Rose is still there. He's on fire. I mean, let's do it. Let's go get the game. I think that's going to be the message as well. And I am predicting a 2-1 win this week. I have my score may have not been right, but I have predicted correctly every time uh, that I've done this show so far. So I'm predicting a 2-1 win this Saturday. And for this being an earlier game, especially here in Texas, I have to be back from the gym by 6:30 a.m. in order to watch this full game. So they better win 2-1 if I'm getting up that early. So that said, that's all I've got to say about this Saturday's game. What are your predictions for this weekend? And I did promise you some insight into what's coming next on this channel. So stay tuned in my next section. Let's get into the goodbyes. So this video's already went a little bit longer than what I wanted it to because again, I do appreciate your time with me. So I'm going to be doing 4 new videos that involve Grimsby but aren't this weekly. I'm going to keep doing this weekly show, but 4 new videos about Grimsby. I'm going to be doing a part A and a part B for the goalkeeper position and the striker position because I ran a poll on my X again for like the 15th time this video. If you don't follow me, here's your plug. I ran a poll and I got roughly 100 votes, and I completely agree with pretty much what everybody says. So I'm going to be doing a video for 5 strikers and 5 goalkeepers that we could look at. Should we get promoted or should we stay in League 2? So again, 2 separate videos, a part A for strikers if we get promoted, a part B for strikers if we stay in League 2. Same thing for goalkeepers. I don't want to go over that again. But These are just completely hypotheticals, completely just conversation starters. I'm not trying to offend anyone or devalue any of our current players. This is just for fun and just for content and just to talk to you guys. So thank you so much again for coming back to the channel and watching the video. Please, 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 everybody have a safe week. And if you're going to the game this weekend, safe travels, safe way there, safe everything. Be smart. Appreciate all you guys and all my followers and subscribers on X. And if you follow me on X, please just know that I will follow you back. And if I don't, just DM me and tell me because I just overlooked it. As always, appreciate the support. Be safe, guys.